Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters, Zone 5/6, Northern Indiana. I know, Queen RB, I was a little bit late today. I was gathering a few things, had to make my tea, because I've got a slight bit of congestion in the nose, and it comes from about this time of year when it actually gets actual cold and it's like doesn't get above freezing, at any point during the day or night. And we've got about, that much snow, and it's like between 10 and 20 degrees at night and stuff. My house is 100 years old. This house here is 100 years old with original windows. Okay. And so it's like an old wooden ship. When the wind blows, the windows just rattle and stuff. And it's so drafty that at this point of time in the season, the heater runs almost nonstop. And so the air is just bone dry in here. Even with the humidifiers going, it's just bone dry. And the ducts and everything are just filled with all, yeah, it's terrible. So I've got an air filter going and stuff, and the air quality is like 20%. I mean, it's like flashing red, super poor air quality. So it's just it's a little bit irritating, but otherwise we feel wonderful. So you might hear a little bit of that. So let me know where you guys are at. Let me know what you're growing for the winter. Don't even get me started. I'm not even going to ask what seeds do you have started, because don't get me started on that. All right. So let's see. Ooh, Queen RB. Yeah. Thinking about the logistics of growing a lemon tree inside. Yeah. Yeah. If you have a nice greenhouse, like attached to your house, like an actual, like a earthship type greenhouse, that would make a lot of sense. But just remember, if even one time it gets like this cold, really cold, it's done for. So I've seen a lot of people trying to grow lemons and stuff, and they'll successfully, they're like, yeah, this tree's 7 years old, and see, I get these 2 lemons every year. Okay, well, it's an act of love, of course. It's an act of love in that case. But it is not going to be like your source of lemons, if that's what you're thinking. Well, I don't know where you're at, of course. Maybe you're in a place where that's possible. Because if you're in a place where you can grow citrus, oh my goodness, I used to love it. Oh, in Northern California, we had orange, lime, and lemon trees in right on the coast, and they were amazing. I mean, they were amazing. They were just boatloads of citrus, lemons and limes, and just so much. Not like the commercial ones that you see. These lemons were actually green, but it was just amazing having this tree bursting full of lemons for what seemed like the whole season. I mean, a long time. Yes. So the Annie Kira is watching from Uganda. Hello, my friend. Good to see you here. Teats, I know. Duct cleaning is available. Yeah, I know. I just haven't got into that yet. My dad is actually a heating and air guy. He has his own heating and air business. And so we are going to install a whole house air filtration system Tuesday. So it's going to immediately clear it up. I already know. It's just at this point, it's just trapped inside, can't open the windows, bone dry air, 50-year-old duct system just circulating whatever the people before had. It's forced air. If you can avoid it, you want radiant heat from the floor. You want that new good fiberglass poured into your slab and on an electric heater to heat the slab. That's what you want if you're on a slab. Or you can even do subfloors in that system now. And then a wood stove. Wood stove is magnificent heat if done right. So that's how the land, when we get it, that's how it will be when we build that place. VA Green, are you talking about are you talking to me? Are you talking about the coat from the Thrive channel? Yes, the shearling, vintage shearling. I know. Thank you. So Andre Puskas says I bought arugula for growing microgreens. Yes, definitely. It's my favorite microgreen. Can you guys hear me all right? Is the sound check? I mean, everything on my end shows like it's working. Okay. Gingerbread. Is it working? What did I say? So okay. The speaking of arugula microgreens, yes, that is actually one of my favorite microgreens. And let's see here. Let me show you guys right here. We get us a nice little tray of the arugula microgreens. And it's my favorite because you get the full flavor of the arugula in the tiny, tiny little thing. And they don't really have time to develop issues. They're not going to go to bolt. They're just really going to be a delicious addition to your salads. So I have arugula microgreens, broccoli and cabbage and pea shoots and sunflowers, and they all are mixed together. I mix them all together and make them in a salad. Yeah, I use these small trays from. I just watered them not long ago, so there's some water. I use these small trays from Bootstrap Farmer, which are really nice, and you can see here that they don't have that super high lip like you have on the other ones. So I found that you have to use less soil and there's more airflow and less mold, and you can harvest more of the microgreen. Yeah. So this turned out to be really nice. I like these. Probably my favorite of all the microgreens is going to be the arugula. Yeah. Because I love the taste. I mean, when you put it all together, you can taste arugula more than anything. Yeah. So, what? Yes, this is the only thing that I like to grow in the wintertime, really. There's many things that you can grow, but this is what I like to grow in the wintertime, the microgreens, because you get that fresh veg in the middle of winter, which is a treat. It's really definitely a treat. We're otherwise eating root crops, the potatoes, the carrots and the beets, and we've still got some daikon radish, yeah, and we're eating the lot of potatoes and sweet potatoes and some winter squash, definitely the onions, the garlic. We're eating all that stuff, and all that is just in the basement. So this is a nice addition, yeah. And on the Cook Like a Viking channel that will be coming in this upcoming season, you will see that there's a couple of really good dressings for these. And the dressing makes it, yeah, in my opinion. So there's a couple of things, though, about the microgreens, is that for me, I found that I don't need to stack them on top of each other and put a heavy weight on top. I found that I don't really need that, they do just fine with a tray on top for just a few days, take it off, and then let them breathe. And they do just fine. Now, I'm not doing it commercially, professionally, like Beth, who I visited Something Better with Beth. She's a local microgreens person, and we will be doing a video. I already got the footage. I already got everything. I'm going to put the video together in the next week or two so that you guys can see her setup. It is awesome. And then I do a short interview with her. So it'll be nice to see that. Okay. Now, I'm not a professional microgreens grower. I just grow them on the home scale, and I only grow a few dozen trays over the winter time because I like the fresh veg. Now, I'm not trying to survive with that, of course, because there's actually almost no calories in any of this. It's all the phytonutrients and stuff. Okay. Remember, you need the calories. That's what the potatoes and the meat and the carrots and all that other stuff, sweet potatoes, that's what that's for. This is for everything else. A lot of vitamins and minerals. If you don't already know, just do your research on the power of the microgreen, how concentrated in vitamins and minerals they are. Yeah. And it's good because it enables you to get your system um, it enables you to get your system down. Okay, so it enables you to know that the temperature, humidity, airflow, and lighting are all appropriate so that you can then start your seeds in there. Yeah. So yes, let's see here. Lucia says, Nate, you have good light, I think. Microgreens not stretch at all. Love it. Yes, Lucia, thank you. And actually, yeah, this is from a friend, from a a bygone era. It's old. It's kind of old technology now, because it's been many years since I've been in this. But it's a grow light. So it's like really powerful. But it's LED, so it doesn't consume a lot. But it is. It really makes them stout. It makes them stout. And the wheatgrass that I do downstairs, we're doing wheatgrass 3-4 times a week. We juice a tray of wheatgrass in the wintertime. It's amazing. And that light is really making it all nice and dark and rich in the chlorophyll. Very rich in the chlorophyll. Yeah. Now you can do this with just the little LED lights and stuff if you're trying to save on electricity. But for me, I don't want to be switching out the lights. I don't want to be having these weak little lights and then, for microgreens, and then have to switch out all the lights when I start my seed starting. Now, you've seen my videos on seed starting, some of them. And yes, you can use shop lights, no problem. It works wonderful. Okay, but personally, because I already had access to them, I use a couple of Mars Hydro LED lights, adjustable. They go all the way from 0 to 100% adjustable. And you wouldn't really buy those for your home setup. Those, again, they came from a long time ago, something else. And but they're really nice for seed starting because they're LED and you can adjust it. You can just turn it down to 25% or 50%, and then just a week or two before you want to plant them out, crank it up to 100%, and it's like the sun. I mean, it's like the sun. It really, them things just grow and get bulky, so it's nice. So I just keep those Mars Hydro lights up all the time. I'm growing microgreens under actual grow lights, but they're cranked all the way down to like 0%, 10%, and you can grow microgreens easily. So they're just sipping on electricity. Because, in the end, yeah, VA Green, you know what I'm talking about, Mars Hydro. They make some good ones. I forget what model this one is. It's when they first came with the LEDs and stuff like that. The ballast is already on them, but they're adjustable, which is so nice. Yes, Everyday Alchemy says broccoli microgreens have sulforaphane. That's right. Exactly. Look that ingredient up. Broccoli microgreens have been studied extensively for that reason. Really powerful compounds, the sulforaphane, what it does. Look. Now, we've got here some more microgreens. Now, watch. Let me get it ready. So here is the broccoli microgreens, and they are, see how them roots grow down there like that? And the broccoli microgreen roots grow down, and I bottom water everything. I bottom water everything, and pretty much no mold and no damping off. And so here we've got the broccoli microgreens. Now these are a little bit old, not old, but I could have harvested them already, but I didn't get around to it. So we're probably going to do it today. But you see, so these are really flavorful. I mean, they're bursting with flavor. And so we're just going to take these and, but you see they're in those deep trays. So they're a little bit more difficult to harvest because we've got to actually like lift it up. You see how, see, these are just, this one I think is grown in just pure cocoa coir and a little bit of worm castings. Cocoa coir and worm castings, that's all they need. And just water, that's all they need. So my worm castings, of course, I got from the local worm farm guy. But you see how we're just going to, they're a little bit more difficult to harvest because they're all the way down there. And to get that knife in there, for me, I want more than that, because I also juice them. When I have, because I'll harvest them all. and have 2-gallon Ziploc bags stuffed full of various microgreen mixtures. So you can only eat so many salads. If we have a salad every day, that's we're still going to have extra, because that you only want to keep them about 5 days or so in the fridge. I found 5, 6 days, 7 days, if you do it right, if you got a cold fridge. But we will also then just juice them. When we do the wheatgrass, we'll juice some peach. Well, we'll just take a handful of the mixture and put a couple handfuls of the microgreens in there. We'll put a lime in there. We'll put some ginger in there. Sometimes some turmeric, sometimes some garlic. You can juice all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's wonderful. But that is the one downfall about these trays, is that they're a little bit more difficult to harvest and a little more prone to mold. Although, because the bottom watering and the good air circulation and the good environment, these aren't moldy or anything. Now here is another one that I like. Okay. So Brian says, Nate, where's a good place to buy the microgreen seeds at a good price? I've been reluctant to promote them because their affiliate program is a joke. As far as it's so complicated, it's so complicated, but so I don't even use it, because it's like so complicated to use. You got to be like a tech guy to understand how to use their little affiliate program. So I just don't really promote the links or anything. But True Leaf Market is where I get all my bulk seeds. They're the best. They really are for bulk seeds. Now I can't say that they're not good for smaller amounts of seeds, but Baker Creek and Urban Farmer Seeds, UF Seeds, is where I like to go for those kind of seeds. But anything bulk, anything microgreen, anything cover crop, anything, I get my wheatgrass in the 5-gallon buckets. Get the hard red winter wheat berries. That's what you want. In the 5-gallon bucket, it's like $100, and you can have you'll have like 2 years of wheatgrass trays with that. Okay. So I will eventually get the link, because the True Leaf Market, their affiliate guy emailed me the other day and was like, hey, I noticed you're not promoting our stuff. Is there something I can help you with? So I need to get back to him and say, look, your program is like really difficult for a Viking to navigate. Okay. So can you make it easier for me in some way? Then I'll promote the links. But this is the Mammoth Red Rock Cabbage. Okay. Mammoth Red Rock Cabbage. And what I like about it, let's see here. Everyday Alchemy says, beautiful to see you growing broccoli microgreens. You're amazing. If you heat them up to 70 centigrade, you increase its bio uptake by 3.5%. Let me see. Oh, Brian, thank you. $5 via PayPal. Thank you, Brian. Says many blessings to you and the tribe. Yes, same to you. Happy New Year. I already know you're starting it off right. Let me, I need to find out. Okay. 70 centigrade. Sorry, guys. I'm an American. 70 C to F. What? What do you mean? If you heat them up to 158 degrees, that's like cooking them. So you mean if you lightly steam them or something? Is that what and is there like a study where that has been shown? But I just like juicing everything. I just juice stuff. I'll eat the salads raw as well. But the Mammoth Red Rock Cabbage, guys, they're nice and flavorful as a microgreen, okay? But I took the same seeds. Now, here is the thing that I always wondered about the seeds, like from True Leaf Market, okay? So they sell bulk seeds. All right, listen to this, guys, because this took me a while to figure out, several seasons. Oh, Everyday Alchemy says my Australian accent doesn't come well through American Google. Oh, so if you heat them up, so it thinks you said hate. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so So now you will read in the True Leaf Market that these seeds are for microgreens, okay? As opposed to the seeds that they sell for 8 times the price, marketed for in the little package for growing in the garden, to the full thing. So they'll sell a small thing, like a little packet, a seed packet with like that many red rock cabbage seeds for $2 or $4, whatever it is. But then you could get a pound of them for like $14, which is like, quite a bit. It's a bag with thousands of them in there. And I was like, oh man, but you probably can't grow them up into full plants. Can you? So this past year, I used these Mammoth Red Rock Cabbage microgreen seeds as my cabbage seeds. And they grow beautifully into nice, big, delicious heads of cabbage. That's what these are. That's what this ferment is. That cabbage. The microgreen seeds, just treat them. I think they're just the same seeds, marketed differently. So and I've done that with peas. I've done that with, obviously, sunflowers. I haven't done it with broccoli, but I've done it with a couple of things, and it just works. So, so you can grow these all the way up. Yes. Now, the flavor of the microgreen is not nearly as good as the broccoli and the arugula, in my opinion. But if you grow them up into the full thing, guys, it is already the end of the first week, or it's like we're into the second week of January, and we're still eating fresh, raw veg from the garden. Fresh, raw veg from the garden. It's not been cooked. It's been fermented and stored in the refrigerator. And we are eating this stuff all the time. It's amazing, okay? Look at this. Carrots and black sesame seeds and ginger from the garden, okay? Here's when we harvested it and made it, November 17th. And it's still delicious, it's still raw, and it's fresh from the garden. So we get all the nutrients, the ginger's from the garden, the carrots are from the garden, all that stuff, okay? So, I mean, that's what it's all about. We're eating raw veg still, okay? So let me see what you guys are saying. Right, Meyer Lemon says, good call, Nate. I can't imagine why the seeds would be different unless they're a special dwarf blend. Well, I thought for some reason that they would be like a hybrid, that, okay, well, they're not meant to be grown up into full-size seeds. Because that's kind of what you hear and stuff. Well, these won't grow into full plants. Well, because these plants are bred specifically for the seeds. Okay. So you just believe that, and you just buy the other seeds. But I was like, I was out of time, and I didn't want. I just thought that can't be true. How would they do that? So I planted them, and they grow into wonderful full-size seeds. Same with the basil, and same with the arugula. Okay, the Genovese basil. That's what my whole crop of basil was this year. The Genovese basil microgreens from True Leaf. Also the arugula. My whole full-size arugula was all the microgreen seeds. Yeah. So, all right. Thanks for hanging out, Val. Hey, make sure you're going to come on Monday to the 10:30 Thrive because I'm interviewing a friend of mine. All right, guys, listen to this real quick. Okay. My friend, Joe, he, he, got really dark a few years ago, and well, it's not like a spoiler alert or anything, but life for him got really dark a few years ago, and he felt like he was just living a lie. And so he drove down. He lives in Tennessee. He drove down to a what they call a holler. Is like a valley in between hills, and in his truck took his 40 cal and shot himself through the heart. And then he said he was just sitting there waiting. He was like, all right, well, I guess this is it. Everything's going to turn black real soon, and then that's it. But then he looked down, and he was just bleeding. Not a ton, but he was bleeding. And he said he just sat there for what seemed like forever. And then all of a sudden he was like, I better call somebody. He called the, I'll let him tell it on Monday, but he called, they airlifted him to the hospital. I mean, just boom, boom, boom. He survived. He put a 40 cal right point blank through his chest, like that, and survived. And that was a couple of years ago, and he has since totally turned his life around, transformed. He gives talks, you know, in the program and stuff like that. He was into substances and things, of course. Really amazing story. So on Monday at 10:30 a.m., we are going to interview this guy, okay? So you can ask him questions. We will, and that's a small community. The Thrive Tribe is smaller than this. And so it's, for now. And so it's more intimate. You'll get a chance to ask him questions, and you'll get to hear his state of mind. You know, like, what does that do to a person after you do that? And you're like, okay, well, this is it. Just waiting for it, like a dream. It's a trip. So we're going to interview him 10:30 a.m. Eastern time on Monday. Okay. Yeah. The prodigal gardener says there was a different plan for his life. Obviously there was, because you would think that that would be the end of it. So yeah. Shauna Susi says, the universe had plans for that man. Can't wait to hear. Yes, definitely. And I feel like probably it begins with sharing his story. You know, that will be something, because everyone can find something to relate to in that. Yeah. I mean, maybe not that extreme, but what led him up to that? You know, you want to get into their state of mind and be like, what leads a person to that? And you survived afterwards. It's crazy. So that's what that is going to be. Okay. Let's see here. Serena says, Nate, do you grow mushrooms? I have a North Spore Lion's Mane grow kit, and it's turned black on one side, stayed white on the other. Should I adjust anything, or is this normal? No. So you have the Lion's Mane Spore grow kit. So are you talking about the, yes, I grow mushrooms, the edible medicinal kind. Yes, the edible medicinal kind. So the long time ago, we used to grow the other kind, but that was a whole life ago. So the if you have the grow kit, are you talking about the spray and grow kit? Like it just comes already inoculated and you just tear it apart and spray it? Is that what you're talking about? Because either way, Spawn Viking Grow, yes. Celtic Sea Salt is the right one for the Master Cleanse. That's the ideal one, yes. So the North Spore, if you guys have the North Spore spray and grow kit, which is just good to get your feet wet on how to grow mushrooms, that would probably come because that side died back, because it did not get, it either was too wet or not wet enough. And so it's gotten like a mold to it, you know? So no, that's not normal. The lion's mane should be brilliant white all the time, like a snowball. It should be like a snowball, yeah? So what is best to do is to get some of the spawn, some of the grain spawn or the sawdust spawn, and inoculate some buckets. Now, I was going to make a video on how to do that this year, but I didn't get the crucial, when I did a couple runs of the mushrooms, I forgot to get the crucial aspect, the crucial shot, the you know, so now the whole thing's incomplete until I do it again. So, because I can't put out an incomplete tutorial. So it's unfortunate, but it was really easy. It was so much easier than boiling it. To sterilize the substrate, we just put it in a lime bath. We just made a bath with a high pH lime till it got to 14. I mean, that's not as complicated as it sounds like. The hydrated lime, it's actually, you just fully saturate. 14 on the pH is fully saturated. So then you just soak that substrate for a given amount of time, let it strain, and inoculate with the mushrooms. It worked flawless. We had mushrooms galore for a couple of weeks, but then we didn't re-up on that. So, but you got to keep them nice and moist. You got to keep them moist. Mushrooms love humidity, yeah? Okay. Let's see. Serena Norell says, block with plastic wrap where you slice diagonal. Right. Yeah, the spray and grow kit. Okay. So it's on the south-facing window shelf. Ooh, that is why. They actually do not want any light whatsoever. It's zero direct light. They don't even need, mushrooms don't actually need light to photosynthesize or anything like that. They're totally different than a plant. So the only thing that the mushroom needs light for is to signal to it that it's time to fruit. So it just needs a very small amount of light, and too much light will roast it, and it will tell to the mushroom, this is not where we want to fruit. It wants to fruit like dark and damp. Think of like under, like a rotting log where it meets the forest floor. That's where the mushroom wants to fruit. Yeah. It doesn't want to fruit like in the blazing sun. So on a south facing window shelf is going to be, if you're in the northern hemisphere, that's going to be way too much. So that's probably going to be the problem. Yeah. Thank you for being on it, Jay. That's right. Let's see here. Oh, what are people talking about? Lisa. Oh, Lisa says, that's similar to my story. I took my life and died, but was found in time and was resuscitated. It turned my life around for the good. Took up meditation and gardening as my lifeline. Whoa. Lisa, nice. Hey, would you be interested sometime in sharing that? If you would, we can arrange a thing for Mondays. Yeah. So check out the story to Monday with Joe. And then if you feel like you have a message similar, which I'm sure you do, if you've been through that or something, whatever your message might be, let's do the same thing with you. What do you think? Ooh, whoa. Everyday Alchemy says, I'm now growing Peruvian mint microgreens. That sounds crazy. Its smells are just undescribable and complex. Cilantro, basil, spearmint, and citrus, banana, sweet strawberry notes. Wow, that sounds wonderful. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, VA Green. My ego mind would be through the roof. You can't kill me. After that, yeah. Yeah. Shauna, yeah, says, I wasn't going to grow cabbage this year since it's pretty just for the butterflies. But that fermented red cabbage looks great. Oh, man. Cabbage is amazing, guys. You need to be growing some red and some green cabbage. And with the ferments this year that will be coming on the Cook Like a Viking channel, it changes the game. These things are not salty. You don't taste salt at all. They're just flavorful and they're raw and they got so many good ingredients. This one's got mushrooms in it. Yeah, dried mushrooms. And wait, no, this one's actually got the one with cacao nibs and smoked poblanos. There's so many different ones that we've got now. They're just amazing. So here is one that is curried daikon radish with a few other things in there. This is one of our favorites. Absolutely delicious. Curried daikon radish. Raw radish. All this stuff's raw, okay? So bursting with life. We're feeling wonderful all winter long. I got a little sniffle right now, but that's, I think, the air quality in here. I feel fantastic and have the entire time. So here is the another curried one's got raisins in it, and these are all amazing recipes, guys. I cannot recommend it highly enough. This one's cabbage. This one's cabbage, among other things. This one's carrots. We've got fermented ginger. All the ginger we grew, fermented it. I mean, it's just doing wonderful. So, Big West says, does the pH drop after the soaking? No. The pH stays super high, so nothing else can grow. But these mushrooms, oyster mushrooms in particular, lion's mane also can do it. If it's wood chips, they will grow. So molds and bacterias don't grow on the 14 pH, but these mushrooms can grow. So it just works fantastic. I haven't had a single failure since using that method, as opposed to the boiling method. I had tons of failures. So it's just the way to go. It's so easy. So let's see. Brian says, my beautiful wife got me a LG fermenting crock. Looking forward to the cooking channel, fermenting, mushroom grow, and getting the garden started. So much good stuff coming up. It is. I mean, it really is. I'm sitting out here looking at this when we do the sauna and the ice bath and stuff, looking at the garden out there, just thinking, man, I am so ready to start rocking and rolling. Going to get that drip irrigation installed and going to have a phenomenal year. We're going to really keep track of we're going to quantify things this year, just because it's so much easier with these beds now. It's so much easier. Everything is just defined, and the space, it seems like I got at least like 50% more real estate just by having the beds. Now the land area is the same, but having mulched pathways it just doesn't make for as fun. They get blurred. They just get blurred, which is great. I mean, you've seen my garden over the past several years, has been amazing, and bursting with life, bursting with stuff. But this year, I can already tell there's going to be even more. It's going to be even much better because of the design, how it's set up. And so I want to quantify how many potatoes we get. I want to quantify we're going to plant rattlesnake pole beans along the back, act like a privacy fence. We're also going to quantify that because I've got that automatic pea and bean sheller. Yes. Oh, that's very nice of you, Jay. I didn't know that. Yes, Teets. Yes, you must have missed it. The Joe story is coming up on Monday on the Thrive channel. Yeah. Mountainside Homestead says, I have those little white mushrooms that grow in my fields and turn to brown puffballs. Are those edible? I'm not sure what kind they are. I've had people tell me that they are. Now, I've heard that those are edible if you get them in the early stage. Have I ever eaten them? No, I have not. Serena said, Nate, what is Frosty's favorite vegetable? Snow peas. Makes sense? Yeah, makes sense. Let's see. The Graham says, Mountainside Homestead, yes, they're puffballs. They're edible only before the spores appear in the cap. Okay, so I would like to see that. Shauna says, I do have some mesh covers. I might try protecting a couple cabbages, but definitely leaving some open for the butterflies. Are you talking about the white butterflies? Because those are moths, cabbage moths, the dreaded cabbage moth. I think that's what you're talking about, because other butterflies don't really care about them. So it must be the little white ones, which are the things that destroy the cabbages. So if you're trying to actually grow food to eat, then you need to get rid of those. But if you just want to grow them literally for cabbage worm food, then that's your own thing. That's a whole nother thing. But if you want to grow them for food, you obviously need to get rid of those white moths. And the way you do that is by getting them at the larval stage with a product called Bacillus thuringiensis. I made a video on it this last year. Very easy. It's just like a bacteria that will totally organic, very, very benign. It only targets the caterpillar. That's it. It inhibits the digestion of the caterpillar. And so once you see those little white moths, you go at it a couple of times, 3 nights in a row, and they're gone. They're gone. Let's see, the prodigal gardener. What kind of, so it says, discovered daikon radishes last year, loved them so much. Now I'm growing 3 varieties of daikon. Good stuff and tastes wonderful with lemongrass. Ooh, yes. I didn't know that there are different varieties of the daikon. Ooh. Man, I brought in a bag of soil this past year that from the store, not soil, but soilless growing medium uh, for some new houseplants, and it was just infested with little gnats of some kind. It was terrible, so it's been difficult getting rid of them. Oh yeah, we're doing the Cook Like a Viking channel, definitely, but we are. It's got to be at the right time, so it'll be late summer before that channel comes. Ooh yeah, Beck says can't wait to cook like a Viking. Devoured a whole jar of Nate's fermented tomatoes last week. Oh yes. Fermentation process is just amazing. So you guys remember a couple of weeks ago I was wanting your opinion on this guy that was that I wanted to do the logo for the brand, you know, and I was like, man, I love his work and everything looks really good, but get this, he wants 100% payment up front before he does any work whatsoever. And so I was like, well, that doesn't sound right. And you guys were like, nope, no way, don't do it, don't do it. Everyone pretty much said, don't do it. You know, I went back and read those comments, and there was like dozens of people said, nope, no way, don't do it. No, not 100%, pay half up front and all that stuff. And so I read all of those and was like, you know, I mean, that all makes perfect sense. But my gut tells me this is the guy. My gut just told me there was never a question in my mind. It was like, yeah, I mean, that's not how business is done. And that is just really weird. And that doesn't feel right on one level, but on my thinking level. But on the deeper level, my gut, my heart knew that this is the guy. So I did it. I paid him up front, and it's not cheap. I paid him 100% up front, and just went on it because it just, and there was no reviews. There's no customer reviews, nothing. I just saw his social media profiles, you know, and there was no customer reviews anywhere. So it was like, whoa. And I even emailed him and was like, this doesn't seem right and stuff. And he emailed me back, was like, yeah, I understand, but pretty much just take it or leave it. He didn't say it. He said it more professional, but he was basically like, well, take it or leave it. I've got a long list of people that want me to do their logos. So I need 100% up front. Okay, well, I don't like it, but I'll do it. So here it is. And turned out to be amazing, of course, because my heart told me to do it. And so I already knew that this was the guy. There's no doubt about it. So, and now I see why it takes, now I see why he needs 100% up front, because each week it's a 4-week project. I paid for the good package. So it's a 4-week process. He sends you a weekly update of the design concepts. The guy researches, you know, Viking stuff, and then he sends you his notes on the research and all this kind of stuff. You know, watched several of my videos and sent a questionnaire and all that stuff, and then gave me sketches and stuff. And so right away, from the very first sketch, I could tell, oh, this is why he requires 100% payment, because just from those rough sketches, I was like, oh my gosh, that one's, I could just tell. So if I was an unhonest person, I could be like, you know what? Even at that point, I could be like, you know what? Never mind. I'm just not feeling this is right for me. And I could take that design, because it's his way of thinking that attracted me to that. So very artistic. And so now we're working, and we're like a week away from, it's week 3 of 4 now. And we're like a week away from completion. So it's going to be like just a couple more weeks, and you will see a really official logo. And it's a super cool, in my mind, super cool design. Okay. Yeah, we'll see what you guys think. So I'm going to replace my picture. It's going to be all over everything, but we'll see what you guys think. Okay. Very artistic state of mind, this guy. So let's see here. So yeah, just wanted to explain that, describe that. Yeah, Shauna says, yes, the cabbage moths. I don't mind them fluttering around the gardens. I grow dill and fennel for the swallowtails too. Perhaps I'll keep a section covered and treat it then. Yeah, and it's and remember though, I mean, I'm sure you know this already. I'm just saying for other people that the the white moth is the adult stage of the worm, that and the worm is what destroys all of your brassicas and puts those holes in them and eats the heart out of them and just makes them disgusting. Uh, it's and then they grow up to be those white moths. So they're like pretty and kind of, storybook. Oh, that's like part of the garden, but that's actually really really destructive. So destructive that they're the number one thing that keeps people from even growing cabbage or collard greens or brassicas of any kind, because they just decimate. I mean, they can destroy it. Look like it was shot with a shotgun, just totally destroy it. But if you spray that BT, that's it. Game over. They won't, and it only affects them. But you only spray your brassicas. You don't spray anything else with it, because it will get all caterpillars. Yeah. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. Lisa T says, Nate, can you talk about preparing grass-fed beef so it is tender despite being lean? Many thanks. uh, well, grass-fed beef is very different from normal beef because the normal beef is conventional, is fed grain and soy and corn and things like that to help fatten them up, because that's not what they would naturally really be eating. And so when you go to Costco or someplace and you see that thick, heavy marbling that's in there, that's all from GMO corn and soybeans and wheat and stuff like that. So it's really not what we want, right? If we're trying to live a toxin-free lifestyle. And so the grass-fed beef is much more natural. So they just eat the grass. That's it. And like Jerry, for example, they rotationally graze on fresh pasture. And in the wintertime, they supplement with hay. Yeah. And so the some of it can be much more lean, much more, it can be tough. Now, the first thing is that you have to understand what cuts are what. If it's, for example, if you get your beef cut into and you're like, yeah, I want all the steaks, they'll give you the round steaks. And round steak basically is like a roast. So you'll think it's a steak, but it's really tough. But it needs low and slow cooking. A round steak needs low and slow cooking. Okay. So most of the tough stuff needs low and slow cooking. So you can do it on the stovetop, yes, which we'll go over all this on the Cook Like a Viking channel. But the things like you have to understand what steaks are what. So when you buy a whole cow, you only get a certain amount of each cut. You only get a certain amount of ribeyes. You only get a certain amount of the sirloins. It's not like you just go to Costco and get 50 ribeyes, as many ribeyes, and people are used to eating just super ultra tender, fat, marbleized, ribeye or filet mignon or sirloin, like that, without all the rest of the cow going to, they don't even have any experience with it. So when you start buying whole animals or a side of beef or something, then you get everything, even the organs and all that stuff. And so you have to come up with ways to eat them. So the best way, if the steaks, if you like to stir fry, for example, some of the steak, then take like a sirloin. Well, the sirloin doesn't even need it. You basically, like the stuff I get from Jerry, I know now what cuts are going to be ultra tender and what cuts are not so much. And the not so much ones, I tell them, I say, hey, the tender cuts, I want those steaks. But the not so tender, then leave them as roast. I want most of the roasts, except for like the arm roast and stuff like that. The rest, grind it into beef. Yeah, so that I have more like steak burger, and that's been real good. And so but one of the best ways to do it, okay, if you like stir fries, slice it against the grain, real thin, and marinate it in a teaspoon or a tablespoon of baking soda for about 2 to 3 hours, and then rinse that baking soda. But you got to massage that baking soda in there, guys. This is a pro tip. Okay, any cut of beef, any cut, basically, you can slice it real thin across the grain and massage a tablespoon of baking soda into there. Let it marinate at least a half hour, more like 2 to 3 hours. And that baking soda will break down those proteins. So then you have to rinse it really well. You have to rinse it like 5 times. Listen to me, you have to rinse it like 5 times, okay? Rinse it underwater, pour it out. Rinse it again, massage it, pour it out. Rinse it again, massage it, pour it out. Then put your soy sauce and your shaoxing, your rice vinegar or something, or mishu, something like that. Put your seasonings in there with it. And then on ultra high heat in a wok with some oil, some lard, or some tallow from the same animal, sear it. Just like a minute in total. And that stuff comes out so incredibly delicious because you have done it on that ultra high heat. And so it's got a little bit of crispiness on the outside, but you only do it for like a minute, like 30 seconds on each side, maybe 1 minute on each side. That's it. And then pull it out. And it's still like so tender. Oh my gosh. Then you eat that stuff and it just falls apart in the mouth. I mean, it's amazing. All right. So that is the way to do it. Okay. I mean, there's many other tricks and stuff. That'll all come on the Cook Like a Viking channel. Yeah. Yeah, Serena says everything is genetically modified from one plant to the next. It's genetically engineered foods that can be bad, depending on how it's engineered. Yeah, I think, I mean, I get that, of course, genetic modification is how things, adapt and all of that. But obviously, I'm not talking about that. I'm obviously talking about specifically laboratory created genome, stuff that is the DNA and splicing and all of these other things. Is what we're talking about, okay? And I hold totally different opinions. There's some people that say, well, GMO foods they're food, they're just as good as any other food. But I do not hold that opinion whatsoever. So let that be known. But yes, Big West says, I still need an OG sticker as well. Don't worry, all you guys, I still have all your envelopes and stuff. Just haven't gotten around to it. Because I want to wait until I get the logo and get the new stickers. I'm going to send you both. I'm going to send you, all you guys are still on the list for the OG sticker. That'll prove your rookie year here. Because I still found that stack that I had. But then we'll also send out the new ones, okay, with the logo on it. So that's what we're doing. And let's see here. Lisa says, I sprayed my brassicas with the netting cloth and sprayed with BT. Worked like a charm. Oh, yeah. Between both things, definitely it works. No doubt. What? Serena says, colloidal silver kills fungus too. I make my own and it's nanoparticle colloidal silver. So it's yellow. How do you make your own? Please tell. How do you make your own? Colloidal silver. Everyday Alchemy says, sounds like Cook Like a Viking. So looking forward to this. Oh yeah, it's going to be good. Definitely, guys. Because that beef, man, oh, it's just so good. It's so good. When you do it that way, it's amazing. But most of the cuts, you don't even have to do that way because you learn which ones are nice and tender. The bottom round steak, even though they'll call it steak, round steak, forget about it. And the rest of it needs low and slow. We make a lot of pot roasts kind of things. So I got several different, I got sweet and sour pot roast, miso beef noodle roast that we make with it. So many different things. Yeah. Hydro says, how does Nate combat insects on his farm? Are there specific pesticides you use? Now, that is the question, isn't it? I mean, that is the thing. So it's an evolving process. It really is. But I can tell you, and I know you probably hear this a lot, but I can tell you with absolute certainty that the best defense is having a super healthy soil biome, which then means you will have a super healthy plant for the most part. So by creating the healthiest plants possible, that's the very best pesticide that there is. It really is. I know it's like people don't understand, you hear that from some people, especially old school growers and stuff. You hear that and you're like, well, how's that true? That doesn't make any sense. But then the more that you learn, the more you observe and stuff, and you understand that it is that way. It really is that way. When your plants are just thriving and healthy and they've got everything that they need, they pretty much can defend themselves. And when you look deeper into things and you read the books over the years and observe things, you understand that is actually there's actually a mechanism that plants utilize in order to ensure that their genetic pool is kept strong. And so the weaker plants that just they're not growing in the best conditions, and the intelligence of the plant just knows that it's going to be a weak plant. It will actually send out certain compounds that will attract insects to it. It will self-sacrifice itself so that it does not contribute weak genetics to the pool, to the gene pool. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but this is the way it is. And it does this. Now, that being said, remember that all the plants that we grow in the garden don't exist in nature for the most part. Certain perennials and stuff like that do. Certain things do to a degree, but pretty much every plant we grow in the garden doesn't exist like this in nature. And so their distant cousins come from nature, but over thousands of years, humans have selectively bred them. Yeah. Now, many people will call that genetic modifying, So in a way it is, but it's a natural way. It's a very natural way. And so the cabbage that we grow, the tomatoes we grow, when you open up like a Baker Creek seed catalog and you see these new varieties of tomatoes, wow, some people think that, oh, well, so they must have went into the Amazon and found or discovered these new types of tomatoes and brought them back to us or something. None of those happen that way. Every one of them are just bred that way. And so they're distant cousins from a long time ago are in the wild, all right? So these plants we grow in the garden will still exhibit many of those characteristics, such as the pest, such as the genetic purification process. But they've been domesticated. Just like there is a version of your house cat that exists in the wild to a degree, but your house cat, even if it goes feral again, is not a wild cat. That doesn't exist in nature. So they will have certain characteristics that still pass down from that, but they will have also very different characteristics because they don't exist like that in the wild. Yeah, neither does your dog. Your dog doesn't exist like that in the wild. They've all been bred by humans. It's incredible. And so when we understand all of this, then we can learn to work with these processes. And so the long way to say that the thing that you want to do is work with the natural cycles of things, work with the natural processes, make your plants as healthy as possible, and Then there are some extra things you can do, such as the the bloom fertilizer. Watch my video for the guano bloom fertilizer. Utilizing the bat guano, seabird guano, and earthworm castings, that is the ticket. It's the bat guano in particular that really strengthens. It's got a certain type of chitin in it that really helps to strengthen the immune system of the plant. Big time. And you'll see. So this past year, I had no diseases and no pests, really. Towards the end of the year, you will get pests no matter what. So that's another part of it. You have to also understand that to a degree, pests are inevitable. Okay, so you have to plant enough. You don't just plant one and think that that's going to be your one. Oh, and then it gets hit by a pest. You plant like 3 or 4 or 20, and then you will get enough. Remember the saying, one for the crow. Wait, what is the saying again? One for the mouse, one for the crow, one to die and one to grow. Yes, one for the mouse, one for the crow, one to die and one to grow. That is an old saying of plant many of them so that you'll get some harvest. Okay, so that's what you want to do. All right, and then understand at the end of the year it's kind of inevitable. Also understand when to plant things. Try to plant things later, like your squash. Try to plant it as late as possible, because in certain areas, the squash vine borer is done by July. They're done with stuff. If they haven't found a host, or the cucumber beetles, if you can plant later, then you'll bypass a lot of that stuff. You have to understand the timing in your area. So really the aerated compost tea and the guano fertilizer, those are things that are going to really strengthen the immune system of the plant. Now, if there's anything else, it's BT. If there's cabbage moth of any kind, BT. If there's slugs, the ultimate slug solution. Yeah. For everything else, there is the JDOM wetting agent, and there's the JDOM, pesticides, but I haven't had to use those for several years. Once I got the system down, I haven't had to use those for several years, and probably wouldn't anymore, because I don't like having to spray things on the plant all the time like that. Even the wetting agent, is the plants need that coating on them. So anyways, Mountainside Homestead says, what is the process called when you're doing the sauna and ice bath, and how can I learn about it? It's called contrast therapy. You can learn about it ideally from Wim Hof, WIMHOFF. This is a guy that is very special. And so he will get you adapted to the breath work and the ice training. Then you can look up Dr. Susanna Soberg, the Thermalist, or her book Winter Swimming, and it will explain to you the physiological benefits that are happening. You can look up Huberman Lab podcast, sauna, ice bath. You can look up Dr. Rhonda Patrick. Yes, listen to several of the sauna and ice bathing podcasts that she has done. All of that can get you started in it. But ultimately, you just have to do it. Yeah. So, yes, VA Green, the strong plant can fend off most stuff. It definitely can. Yeah. What? Graham says, I bought a colloidal silver generator. Don't buy the cheap ones. They don't break the silver into good nano-sized particles. I can make 5 liters a time if I want. It costs maybe $150. And then you have to put in what, like ounce rounds of silver? Is that how do you feed it? You have to put in like one, silver bars or something? Penny Simpson says, doesn't labs kill fungus? It can, to a degree. Yes, it can, depending on the type of fungus, depending on the situation. But it's not like pesticides where it just spray and it just kills all the fungus. It doesn't do that. Not even close. Yes, you're welcome, Hydro. Ooh, yeah. Donald Hughes says the TV went out in April. Don't miss the TV. Feel better. Easier to meditate. More active. There we go, my friend. Yes, we haven't had a TV in years and years. What's up, Shooting the Soil? Good to see you here, my friend. Yeah, yeah, I know. VA Green says it's funny now, after all of the breeding to make superior high value plants, that now people are starting to seek the land races out again. Yeah, yeah. That's funny, isn't it? Jeff Sadler says, "Don't cats revert really quickly to their wild form more than most animals?" Uh, no, they don't. They can't actually. There's what you're talking about is feral cats, which is totally different. Those cats are still domesticated cats that have gone back to being feral, but they're not wild cats. They're it's been too many generations, too much time, so that there still are some wild cats, but they're like in the Amazon or in parts of Africa, distant cousins to these cats. But yes, a cat, if it's born and it's just left outside, it will appear like it's wild, but it's not. It's technically feral, not wild. And so there's a very, very big distinction of that. So it's like the cows. Many of the cows, like in India and stuff, um, a lot of cows just kind of roam around and stuff. So but they're not wild cows. That's not how they would ever have existed in the wild whatsoever. They just have gone back. They're still domesticated. You understand the difference? Am I explaining it right? But no, it's a very, very clear distinction. That's why the cats will still have certain instincts and stuff, but they like don't make sense in their current environment, because they're still genetic traits, but it's almost like a short circuiting. It's almost like a glitch because they're not like actually supposed to exist like that in the natural system. Ooh, Shooting the Soil says, I just got a crusted gecko for my indoor garden. Not sure if it will control the insect population, but I got a macro predator now. So many insects in that room, but they don't eat the plants. Nice. Nice. Yeah, that would be interesting. When I lived in Thailand, we had geckos. Man, you'd hear them in the middle of the night. Gecko, gecko, gecko. Super loud. And then you would look. I always left them though, because they would eat the big spiders and all that stuff that would try to come inside the bungalows. Teats Treats, $2. Thank you, my friend. Can we get somewhere like mess in here? Can we get somewhere like mess in here? I'm not sure what that means, my friend. Can we get somewhere like mess in here? Oh, can we get some more likes in here? Yeah, can we get some more likes in here? Yeah, guys, hit that like button. Come on. Go ahead, hit the like button. Yeah. Let's see. Oh my goodness, Jay just completed that saying for me. 4 seeds in a row. One for the mouse, one for the crow, one to rot, and one to grow. Ooh, okay. That's another way of saying it, but that sounds probably like the original way of saying it. Yeah, I like it. Another thing that I do, Signal Law said, one plant of a type tends to have problems of itself. The plants seem to know they have friends. One thing that I do is I rarely, unless it's like onions, I will rarely plant a bunch of stuff in one location. I definitely like to plant things all up in the mix. I don't. like row farming, like where you just plant a bunch of stuff in a big long row, that, and then you have like another, you have space that you cultivate in between, and then another long row. That's actually the worst possible way and the most high intensive way to do things. Now, it can work in certain situations, though. I'm not denying that. But as far as you will need the most amount of pesticides and stuff, you will have the highest incident of loss if the pest can just go from one plant that it loves right to the next plant that it loves, right to the next plant that it loves. You can watch sometimes. I mean, I still get the cabbage moth that here sometimes, and you can watch it fly around to all these different plants, and then it'll find a brassica. Oh yeah, it'll just sit there around the brassica, but it'll go around to different plants and stuff, and it doesn't like it, doesn't like it, doesn't like it, and then, but ultimately its fate is sealed anyways, because I got the BT. So yeah, VA Green says, I've had success using labs to kill powdery mildew. That's actually one of the best things it does. It totally will eliminate powdery mildew. Yeah. Myra Lemon says, Nate, I planted according to that saying. Everything grew. No mouse, no crow, no die. Overwhelming crop. We'll have the heartbreak of thinning this season. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, yes, that's true. It is definitely true. You don't need to plant. That's not literally saying plant 4 times what you think you'll need. No, but it's the saying means, of course, be prepared for some loss. It's just part of the game. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Pam in South Africa says, diversity I found has confused the pests this year. Flowers, onions, garlic, nasturtiums, and marigolds. Nasturtiums and marigolds. Yeah, that's another huge thing for pest preventative. Marigolds are all over the garden. I got so many different kinds of marigolds and nasturtiums. They're amazing. Yeah, marigolds are very good deterrents. One thing I might not do as many of this year is calendula, although I don't even plant calendula. They just self-seed every year. But now that the garden was all tilled up and completely rearranged, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out. If they're still going to sprout up everywhere, they probably will. But there's so many calendula. And I almost feel like, after all these years, I almost feel like they're not just a trap plant for aphids, but actually attract aphids. I feel like they actually attract and breed aphids. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards now. But from just observing over the past, 5 years of using the nasturtiums like that, is that, man, especially last year, it's almost like they want to attract the aphids. So I don't know exactly. So, yes, that's another very good one. The soldier fly frass. Everyday Alchemy says, yes, once a week I do a tea with worm castings, and every second week add black soldier fly frass. Yes, very good. Very good at pest deterrence. Pest deterrence, not because it itself actually deters the pest, but because it strengthens the immune system of the plant to the point where it will deter the pest itself. That's what we're going for. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to look into that. If somebody wants to send me a link, to a video so I don't have to search for it, that would be great. So I can just look at it. But still, do you have to like put an ounce of silver in something, or where does the silver come from? Now, Lisa says, Nate, what drip irrigation system are you installing? Which company? It's not a specific company yet. So there's many different options, because I worked with these drip systems in California extensively. My whole life was on drip lines there. Everything depended upon the drip systems. But there was all the grow shops around there, all the hardware shops have huge amounts, every single fitting you could ever imagine. All of it's in stock. So you just go there and you just can piece it all together. So I don't even know what brands they were. It was just, you know, all the grow areas had them. And so here, it's not as, people don't use that stuff like that. And so that none of these shops around here have any of that. So I'm going to have to order everything online. So I'm just going to have to, maybe from dripdepot.com. I don't know yet. And the brand is not that concerning to me, but the parts are what I need to look at. And so I will just piece together exactly what I know that I need. So, yeah. So so I don't have a exact company yet. So I'm going to be splitting that apart. You know, I'm going to be, it's going to go out and I'm going to have 2 sections of the garden. It'll all be on timers. It's going to be wonderful because no doubt we'll have another drought year, but we might not. So therefore I built these beds to handle drought or deluge of rain. Ooh, Serena, that's a good one. What do snowmen eat for lunch? Iceburgers. Good one. Tegan's going to love that. I hope she's not watching right now because that'll ruin it. Lauren Collier says, I foodscape like you do. Oh, absolutely. All over the place. There's no reason to have anything else. Let's see here. Ooh, Masabi Gal says, back home after 3 weeks in Poland. Getting excited about growing soon. Good luck on the logo, Nate. Thank you. Thank you. Happy that you're back safely. Yes, the logo is going to be pretty awesome, I think. Just right away, I was like, oh my gosh. So we still get some more refinement. We still are going to refine it more. But as soon as that happens, I'm going to put it on everything. So it's going to be cool. What are you guys talking about, turning blue? Let's see. Ooh, B. Hendricks says, you're right, I think, Nate. My neighbor, the flower lady, says they harbor the thripes. You're probably talking about the calendulas. Yeah, aphids and thripes. I mean, they're just like a pest magnet. And I used to be under the impression that they were a trap crop, kind of like the nasturtium. And I feel like really the nasturtium is a trap. But I feel like the calendula actually breeds populations of aphids and thripes. So we'll see. They're so beautiful and so hardy, though. I mean, but they're just covered in aphids and stuff. So even when all the other plants aren't, but still, there are just so many of them that there. I know there wouldn't be that many otherwise. Let's see. Um, Brian says, Nate, I went back and watched your 7 plants for pest control. Have you added any more plants to that list? Well, I forget exactly what is on that list at this point, but I can tell you without any doubt the marigolds in any form are really beneficial. Also mint. I've put mint all over the place, which I think is in that video. Also garlic is all over the place. Even just pest deterrent garlic that you plant in the spring. Just plant a few cloves here and there, you know, in the springtime, and it won't grow into full-size huge bulbs that store for a long time, but it will grow and it will still be a pest deterrent. Also, you know, planting herbs. Yeah, I would have to see what that list is. Yeah. Yeah, can't see the forest, says Nate. Trap plants are meant to attract the pest and then be removed or destroyed. Yeah, I know. But how are you gonna? I mean, I just can't hardly bring myself to. I mean, they're so beautiful. The calendulas are just thriving with these brilliant, beautiful blooms. Got tons of aphids on them and stuff, and I just couldn't see myself cutting that. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. Oh, okay. So these come from like silver rods. Okay, I was thinking like you put a troy ounce of Canadian Royal Canadian Mint silver in it or something like that, or a silver eagle. Um, so let's see here. A couple of other things, guys. You should all be sprouting. Okay, so here we've got a jar of alfalfa sprouts, and if you get the 5 pound bucket of sprout, not bucket, but it's like a number 10 can. It's like a big can from True Leaf Market. It will last you several years. We only use 1 tablespoon per batch. So you rinse them every 12 hours. Watch my video on sprouting. And here, these were just started like yesterday. You can almost start to see the little white tails start to appear on them. But these are just a couple of days into it. Now, the day after tomorrow, this will have filled the entire jar with sprouts. The whole thing will be packed, like stuffed full, to the point where I will have to unscrew it and just pull the whole thing out as a big tangled up salad. And then I'll chop it up and I'll put the desired dressing on it, several different kinds, and super life force giving fresh veg, full of digestive enzymes, full of all kinds of good stuff, um, in the middle of winter. And they take like 5 days from start to finish. So no soil required, no lights required, nothing. Sprouts are the easiest of all things. Okay, sprouts are the easiest of all things. And so I highly recommend it. We do sprouts and the microgreens, of course, but the sprouts are so easy. Now, I like the most alfalfa sprouts. Easiest, they work really good. Another thing we do is the wheatgrass, guys. We got like 5 trays right now growing, and we've been juicing the wheatgrass. So it's a wonderful way to get that chlorophyll in there, elevate the mood, and all kinds of stuff in the winter time. You can also eat it at this level. Or you can ferment it and make Rejuvelac, which we've made, which is wonderful. So it's been really helpful. So yeah, I mean, all these practices, it's great, and it's you still have to. I mean, you still are going to occasionally catch a little sniffle, maybe, or I don't know if it's the air quality or what it was, but if I was unhealthy, maybe that would have like developed into something actual, like a cold or like a something else. I don't know. But if you're healthy, then and you're eating this stuff and you're doing it, your immune system just kicks in, boom, and it's a couple of days and that's it, and then you're over it. So that's pretty much where we're at with all of that. And so I'm going to have some Rejuvelac after this for sure. And we have our sprout salads. Another thing that's really good, guys, mate, yerba mate. There's a link in the Viking storefront to the mate that I like. This stuff is amazing, okay? This is what I got in here with some chamomile from the summertime. Some chamomile is in here, and some ginger and some mate. And it's amazing because when I get the slightest bit of congestion going on, I stop the raw milk and the raw cream. I don't have any dairy because it is mucus forming. Even the raw stuff is generally can encourage mucus formation, which I don't need right now. And so I just lay off that for a couple of days. I don't have coffee with the cream in it. I just have mate tea in the morning, and that's it. And it's real easy. And everything's just easy. So, so remember, guys, my friend Joe. So we are going to have an interview Monday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time on the Thrive channel. So there's a link in the description below to that interview. Okay, I already put it on the books. And remember, like I said, Joe went through it, put a 40 cal straight to his chest, boom, and survived. Okay, totally changed his life, turned his life around. Now he's given a message that he wants to share with people, and so we're going to give him the platform. I'm going to interview him, but if he just wants to talk the whole time, that's fine too. But make sure you give me questions, because what brings a person to that state of mind where they've got kids and a wife, and still it gets so bad that you've got to do that? I mean, what goes through the mind? And then once you survive that, and he's totally changed everything around, now he gives talks and he's inspirational to people that might be in the same boat, so it's going to be cool. I don't know what the conversation is going to be like, but it'll be cool. I hope that you guys are all a part of it. All right, even if you're not familiar with that channel, we're just going to let him talk and see what happens. So if you got questions, go ahead and put them in there. Okay. Ooh, John, that's a good one. Oh man, I hope I remember that. I hope Tegan's not watching it right now. She loves jokes like this. Okay. Let's see. Happy Dirt Dude says, locally, the city here raised the price of municipal water substantially. Have you considered rainwater catchment for irrigation? I have a rainwater catchment system. Now, that's great if you get rain. But when you go 10 weeks without a drop of rain, it's not really going to matter. So it's, and if it rains, then you don't need to water. So it's like, I mean, I would really have to, it would be a kind of an unreasonable amount of infrastructure for me to try to capture that. Because if you guys have ever lived on water tanks, like I did in Northern California, like we had to capture all of our water in the rainy season and then use the springs in the dry season, but they would eventually dry up as well. Then we'd have to go to the catchment pond and utilize that. So utilizing that, working with grow rooms and greenhouses and feeding by tanks and all that, I have a real good understanding of how much water it takes to water crops. And it takes way more than most people think. Most people think that they could have a 55-gallon drum or two outside and that they'd be able to water their crops with that. You'd be able to water one tiny little flower bed with that properly. And if it and then when it doesn't rain, you'd be out of that in no time. I mean, I would have to have here to go 10 weeks of rainwater catchment. I would need, several thousand gallons of water. I would need to have like 5,000 gallons of water. I mean, to have it be in a massive, to properly irrigate, I'm talking the crops like this intensely planted out here. You would need like two of the massive 2,500 gallon storage tanks. I mean, it would be a huge infrastructure and then you would need a pump, so because there's no elevation here. Like in the mountains, we use the elevation drop to pressurize everything. Here, you can't do that. So it's way more involved than just getting a few barrels. And, that's nice. Most people got like a water catchment. They'll water a couple of their potted plants. That's perfectly cool. But as far as when you're trying to grow your whole year's worth of food during the growing season and then store it like I do, you need to intensely plant that stuff. It needs to get water. It needs to, so that's why I don't really bother with that. I have it here and I have 100 gallons, which I could expand it to 200 gallons. So 4 of the barrels, but even that would not last long. So I have that more for if it really hits the fan and I need drinking water. That's what I have it for. So I can capture drinking water and then filter it. Yeah. Signal loss. My irrigation questions are: what are used to deliver the water? Drip tape, 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, or small sprinkler heads? the rolls of drip tape. Rolls of drip tape is how you want to do it. Definitely not sprinkler heads. No, rolls of drip tape. I'll have to look at it all again, but remember exactly how I'm doing it on this one. But I prefer the 6-inch as opposed to the 8-inch or the 12-inch holes. Those are more for like bigger spacing crops. But I believe it's the 6-inch emitter spacing. So there's multiple different options. When I get mine, I'll know as soon as I go to the websites or whatever. I'll know exactly what I need when I see it again. So then I will make a video about all of that. Yeah. So let's see here. So yes, see you Monday, Lucia Bora. Yes, Signal Law says I have 3 60-gallon barrels and only use it for mixing my fertilizers. Definitely, it's very good for mixing ferments and fertilizers and stuff like that. Yes, definitely. Right. Yeah. Big Teach says maybe Big Will Dog was saying something about. Um, yeah, I know. Big Will Dog says, Nate, have you checked on any of your buddies you have in Cali? Called my cousin, my little brother, make sure he was good, just south of all of them. Yeah, the thing that a lot of people, no, that's great thinking though. But my people were like 15 hours north of LA. I mean, we were a solid 5 hours north of San Francisco. So most people don't understand how massive California is. It is massive. And so, I mean, just enormous. So no, it's way far away, way far away, like in a different state almost. So, Jay says, not sure if you saw my message, Nate, but Menards has a lot of drip connections, different types. It's upstairs. Whoa, that would be awesome if they did. I will check that out. Gosh, how awesome would that be to be able to go right over to Menards, which is like 8 minutes away, and that would be awesome. I'll check that out. So, okay, guys. Yeah, so it is my stepdad's birthday today, Viking stepdad, Pete. So we are going to go to the shooting range. And because he loves to do that, we all like to do that. So we're going to go as a family to the shooting range. And then we're going to go back to my mom's house. And I'm going to make for them the best pho in town. Yeah. Utilizing the homemade bone broth, utilizing the grass-fed beef from Jerry, utilizing all kinds of good stuff, some microgreens, all the good stuff. Some of the ferments will utilize all this stuff. It's going to be really good. So it's going to be a good time, and we will see you guys next week. Yeah, remember it's going to be a very special, exceptional one in on the Thrive channel. Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So there's a link in the description right below, so you can bookmark it, set a timer on your phone, and put in there already. I think you can comment, put in there what questions, just off of my little introduction, would you like to ask of this guy? Yeah, because no doubt he has a very unique perspective. Okay, so we will see you guys next week. Okay. What's everyone talking about Jesse? Oh yeah, happy birthday. Okay, happy birthday. Let's get the fireworks for Jesse. All right, happy birthday, Jesse Griffin. Oh, Jeff Sadler, new member. All right. Welcome to the tribe, my friend. Appreciate that.